Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and guys, I have another magnetic switch for you guys, and this is from Kailh. Now, thank you again, Kailh, for sending it out. This is their Lychee Magnetic switch, and honestly, I'm kind of curious what theirs is like. The only experience I had was like the flaming one, and that was horrible. To be honest with you guys, that was actually horrible. Excited to see, is this one gonna be worth it or not, and see how does it feel and what does the sound profile like. So let's go right into taking a look at the switch and then do the sound test. But please make sure to like and subscribe.
So thank you again, Kailh, for sending out the Lychee Magnetic. Now let's take a look to see what these switches are like. So one thing I noticed is that the housings is pink and very, very pink actually. I'm really curious if it's going to affect the lighting of this switch a lot. We'll have to take a look later in the backlighting test. In terms of the switch itself, it's bottom closed and we're going to have to see this information. Now, it's quite interesting to see, but it doesn't seem like these switches are going to be on the cheap side. They seem quite expensive at 79 USD per switch, but let's do a sound test on them.
So what did I think about the sound profile of these switches from the Kailh Lychee is that it's going to be on the Clacky side. So it is a higher pitched switch, and I was quite impressed in terms of the feel though. It is really smooth and it is quite crisp of a sound. So when I say crisp, it's like you don't get a lot of like the after sound happening. That's one of the things I noticed with like the Owlab T switch, which was one of my favorite switches right now. This is kind of similar. You're not getting that like crazy sounds. I would say it does require some looping for sure, but it is quite smooth with what it is. I'm quite impressed with what they did with this. We're gonna have to really go into like taking it apart, measuring things, and see how it's like. So let's go right into that.
Now, I was mentioning that these switches impressed me a bit, and that's because the last time I tried Kailh switches, I'm gonna be honest, they were horrible. They were one of the worst switches that I've actually tried magnetically. This is a big improvement from what they were doing, and I can see that. Now the top housing is completely clear, which is going to help with the lighting in terms of making it bright, and it does have this little section where it's like a light diffuser. Now let's take a look at actual stem itself and see how the stock lubing is. I'm trying to just get it focused here, but hopefully you can see that the lubing is very, very little. Like you can see around the sides where instead of the actual stem portion that's going to go through the bottom housing, it's actually on the sides of it. And the stem looks a little bit more of like a boxy shape, but as you can see, the lubing's not well done, and it's still quite smooth stock, even with a very little lubing, but I would say it does require a lot of more hand lubing to make it much smoother. Now, in terms of the spring length, so I'm trying to measure it out and really get a measurement, but it looks like in terms of my measurement, it could be 19 or 20 millimeters. At 19, it's just right there in the spot where it should be in terms of not falling off in terms of my tool. But when it comes to 20, it makes a little bit more sense. So plus or minus at the 19 point of 1 millimeter. I think that's the best way to look at it. And I would put my bet on 20 millimeters on this thing. Now, the whole thing is still quite pink though. So I'm really curious how it'll come out the end of it in terms of the backlighting. Now let's do a measurement of the distance. So we're going to start off with measuring like how the distance would be on these, because they're supposed to be about 3.5 millimeters. So as you can see, I'm starting at the 15.3 and it goes down to 11.7. That's supposed to be a 3.6. So when I'm trying to measure this out again, we're going to start off again at 15.3. And then when we press it in, we get 11.8, which matches up with the 3.5 millimeters. So I would say that it is correct in terms of that. Now, showing you guys the actual stem wobble. So the shape of these stems is a little bit different, which is why I'm saying that it's going to be an interesting way to look at this and how they did it. You actually get very little stem wobble, and the top housing really helps with that to keep that whole top shape in, and compared to say some other of the stems. Now you do get a little bit, but it's not that bad. Now when you have the keycaps on there, of course it depends on the keycaps you use, and it could affect the wobble a little bit differently. But as you see here, the horizontal is not as bad as the vertical, and the vertical you do see some. I would say compared to same with a lot of the other switches out there, it's quite similar in terms of the stem wobble, though there are some box stems that are like really, really good, as the Your Magnetic also has very little stem wobble. Now in terms of backlighting, as you can see how pink it is, I've actually used the white light. So in terms of the Wu-Ting RGB settings, I have it set to pure white. Though to be fair, the Wu-Ting's white is not full white, it actually does come off a slight pink, but as you can see here with these switches, it does affect the lighting a lot. Even with the red, it comes off a lot pink. And you know, this is a brightness testing, so it is quite bright of a switch. You do get a lot of lighting, but the color accuracy is not great. You are going to get some color disfiguration due to the switch itself, and it's going to be very, very pink. Like even when I use a blue color, which you'll see right here, you will see a pink hue to it. So the accuracy wise, not so great on these switches. Overall, I think these switches were decently done. If you are someone who likes a very high pitched switch, like a very good clack, this would be more close to that and would be closer to like a clack in a mechanical switch. Though in terms of my opinion, I would say that these aren't the best switches. I think they're well done, and clacky wise, yes, it is good, but I still prefer like the Owlab's T switch in terms of what I would consider clacky but crisp sounding.
Now I do hope this video helped you guys in terms of figuring out if this is a good switch to grab or not. I would say comparatively with like a lot of the other like Hell-FX switches I tried, in terms of smooth and crisp sounding, this is actually really well done. But for a similar sounding switch that I prefer would be the Owlab's T switch. That's just my own personal preference. I think they did a great job with this though. Some people are going to really enjoy it. It is a really nice crisp sounding switch, and honestly, the fact that it gets like very little stem wobble is super impressive as well. I think Kailh's really trying to jump into the like magnetic switch Hall effect area, and you can tell they've done a great job with this, and I'm actually excited to see like how they improve this and can do even more. I'll have the links in the description for you guys to go check out yourselves, and of course, go check out the other videos I got, and please make sure to like and subscribe.